Hey guys, what's up? It's Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews. Let me scoot over a bit. Here again with a new review for you guys. This is on a British supernatural horror film from the director of the Alien ripoff Inseminoid. Inseminoid is an okay Alien ripoff. It's not as good as Alien 2 on Earth, nor is it as good as Contamination, but it's interesting enough. I might have to rewatch it, because I didn't think much of it the first time around. Looking back and really thinking on it, I do think I kind of like that movie. I can't really be too sure of that. But this is his attempt at a film from 1987, Bloody New Year. What fucking... I think my fans are really loud, but at the same time, I think they're not. So, this film is about 5 shipwrecked English teenagers who take refuge on this abandoned hotel on this island that is decorated for New Year's Eve. And the problem is, it's early summer, and soon some weird shit starts to go down. How they get into this situation is literally straight out of a high school comedy. They piss off some greasers / punks at a fair, and the punks chase them through rides and fun houses until they finally escape by boat. The boat then gets wrecked and they have to swim to shore to an island. They find the abandoned hotel, which is completely empty, and yeah. So here's an interesting fact about this film right off the bat. This film, the writer and director of this film, essentially wrote and conceived the plot for this film over the course of 7 days with help from the line producer on the film. Because of that, the dialogue isn't very well written, the writing isn't the greatest here, and the plot is a little bit all over the place. So what we have here is some kind of weird combination of Lucio Fulci's The Beyond, which a lot of people consider to be, one of Fulci's best films. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of The Beyond. I do think it's a really cool, really good movie, but I don't think it's as amazing as everybody says. But what we have here is a combination of that with a little bit of Evil Dead thrown in, a little bit of Evil Dead 2, I should say, and some classic haunted house shit. A little bit of, Legend of Hell House and Burnt Offerings, specifically. Those are two of the great haunted house films from the 70s. So this movie is kind of a mess. As in, it's just a mishmash, hodgepodge of weird ideas and attempts at scares that most of which fall flat on their faces, which is kind of funny, and the rest is the rest of it is a very small amount of scares that are actually a little bit creepy or interesting or original. Other than that, I'd say the film is fairly decently made. It's fairly decently acted as well. You could tell everybody at least had a bit of fun while making the movie. It's very well paced as well. I would never say the movie is boring. I will say shit doesn't get off the wall or weird until about halfway through the film. But the antics of these teenagers are entertaining enough to watch up until that point. So, the film, from a technical standpoint, like I said, very well made. It's well shot. The music is okay. It's well lit. I wish they would have gone for more, stylized lighting, because I love that kind of shit when it's not being used, to the point that it kind of becomes a gimmick for the film. But I like it when it's used in certain scenes. Look, I don't know what else to say about this movie. I'm sure that there are people who do not like this movie. I know that there are people who don't like this movie. And I know that there are people who are going to absolutely adore this film. And me, I'm kind of in the middle. Because while I did overall like this movie, it's not thoroughly as weird or entertaining as I had heard. I mean, the reviews and stuff I had read for the film were essentially that this was like a big clusterfuck of weird shit, and it made like little to no sense. And I'm not gonna sit here and say it made sense, because the explanation as to why this is really happening isn't really there or anything like that. But it's like, if you've never seen a movie if you've never seen like a weird movie in your entire life, if you've never seen The Beyond, if you've never seen any Jodorowsky film or any David Lynch film, then this might be the weirdest movie you've ever seen. But to somebody who is into cult films, this is like fairly weak sauce. Look, I don't know what else to say. You know, if you want to see a table come alive and attack a woman, I mean, this is the film to see. That's easily the best scene in the entire film. All that being said, I do think the film does slow down towards the last half hour. Like, right after it starts to get interesting, about 10-15 minutes later, it just suddenly becomes a, like, slow down. It suddenly starts to really slow down. And I will admit there are a couple moments within the scenes where it slows down that are a little creepy. There's a scene where they're in the forest and there's a bunch of fog, and that one I would say is honestly pretty well coordinated, not well coordinated, but a pretty cool little scene. I love it. I love, you know, just like how I love scenes with stylized lighting, I love scenes that are like immensely foggy and have that kind of eerie, like dreary atmosphere to them. But it does pick up about the 10 minutes after that segment, after that 10-15 minute segment right there where it slows down. Keep in mind, those 10-15 minutes are pretty much devoid of all weirdness and off-the-wall entertainment. So there's that. I will say the ending is downright hopeless. The ending is just absolutely hopeless and dark, and I love the ending. And I will say that within the last 5 minutes, within the last 5 to 10 minutes, the film gets that weird lighting and it becomes this Suspiria, Things, Santa Sangria kind of level of just fever dream on film. And it's the quality that I expected from the entire film in just this last 10 minutes. Like I said, the ending is very down low and unexpected. Considering how, this film is serious in tone, but if you really watch it, it's pretty cheesy and a little stupid. So, it's kind of, I love, movies with really dark hopeless endings. I think a great example of this is The Beyond, which is a very similar film. I think is a pretty good example of a very weird kind of hopeless ending. But those last 10 minutes are what I expected the entire film to be like. Just constant weirdness and just craziness. What there is of gore in the film is well done. What there is of special effects, monster effects or anything like that, is decently done. On the gore meter from 1 to 10, 1 being something like Nosferatu, 10 being something like Peter Jackson's Brain Dead, Bloody New Year sits at about a 3. There's nothing super graphic here, although there's 1 or 2 scenes of death and I want to say maybe 2 scenes of decapitation. And there's the final, one of the final deaths in the film, which happens off screen, but I would argue that it's a pretty brutal death, even though it's not shown. I kind of wish it was, because there's a Italian zombie film that's one of my favorites called Zombie Holocaust that has a kill just like this, and that kill is great. But yeah, it's a 3. I don't really know what else to say about this film. I'm a little disappointed in it. I expected it to be way more weirder and entertaining after hearing about it being this really weird movie. It's still a fairly weird, surreal, uneasy film. Don't get me wrong. It definitely has that kind of atmosphere. But it's just not what I wanted from it exactly. But At the same time, I still had quite a bit of fun with this movie, other than that, like, 10 minutes after it starts to get interesting, where it's absolutely devoid of really any weirdness or entertainment. That, like, 10-minute segment is just like, ugh. But other than that, I would say it's a decently entertaining movie. But because of my disappointment, because of the lack of gore after I heard it as well, that this film was fairly violent, and just the lack of weirdness in general after I heard this was an immensely weird film, I've got to say it's not great. Like, honestly, pretty far from great. I like it, but I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I'm gonna have to go ahead and give this one a 2.5 out of 5, or a 5 out of 5 out of 10. It's you know, if you're looking for like a decently interesting, like if you're looking for a weird haunted house movie, I would definitely say go for like House from 1977 or the American film House from 1986. This one is definitely another one I would say to check out if you like haunted house films that are fairly like just kind of weird and surreal. But the thing is, I think it works better with the Japanese film Hausu and the American film House a lot better, because those films are meant to be horror comedies, while this film is playing itself completely seriously. And I feel like with a bigger budget, better cast, better writing, and everything, it could be a legitimately creepy movie, even with some of the cheesy aspects of it. But because of the low budget, it's just not what you want it to be. So, that's really it for this time around, guys. This is Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews. Signing off. Peace.